Hey everyone, welcome back to the On Point Podcast. Thanks for joining me on this episode. I get to sit down with my really good buddy Mitch and talk about what is being on point for kind of like being on a spectrum. So if you don't have time to do what I do, shoot all the time, work out, and do all this other stuff. You say you have kids, 60-hour-a-week job, just like Mitch. He can't commit that much time to it. So for being on point for him, it may look a lot different than being on point for me. And we just kind of want to talk about, being prepared. What priorities should you have going into the season with a limited time to get ready for it? Because not everybody has all this time to be able to commit to, getting good enough as they want to be for hunting. So this is a really cool episode. I had a great time sitting down with Mitch, and really hope you guys give me some feedback on this one. What is on point for you? What can you commit? What is important for you with the limited amount of training you have or time for training that you have? What areas do you focus on? Let me know. I'll post this on Instagram, and we'll see you at the end of the episode. Bye.
Sounds good.
All right, man. So sitting down with the one and only Mitchell Dixon.
That's right.
My estranged hunting partner that is way too busy nowadays.
Estranged. I like that. Gone but not forgotten.
Yeah, right. Gone and not forgotten. Since we've last had you on here,
we were hunting. We were in Eastern Oregon.
Were we?
We were on a mule deer hunt.
Has it really been that long?
We recorded 2 on the way home.
That's right. We were just watching videos. Okay, so
one of them didn't make the cut.
Yeah, we were just watching videos on the way down here. One of the podcasts I scrapped because it was just a little too out there, I think. But it was. We were watching a video from the hunt where Mitchell recovered his deer. We both forgot that we had that video. Watching Shelby's wonky bull video. Watching a video where we completely didn't hear a bull bugle, but the camera picked it up. That was awesome. So yeah, it's just really cool filming your own shit. I just never want to leave the house without a camera anymore when I'm going hunting.
I hate it when we're hunting. No, I'm serious. It bothers me a lot that it's like so much of a part of everything when we're hunting. It's like, we got to stop and do a dialogue.
Right.
Or you're interviewing me or asking me questions.
Yeah. I
hate it at the time, but when I watch it back,
it's worth it.
I don't remember the details the way that the camera will.
Yeah. So it's so nice to have that. Well, for somebody like and you have a great memory, man, but for somebody with a really bad memory, hearing you say that, like, I forget complete days out in the woods, and I like complete encounters with shit. Like, having a camera, it literally jogs my memory. I'm like, okay, and then watching that video, then this and this and this, and it just brings a whole flood of memories back.
Right. It doesn't have to show you every angle, but it triggers what what if you remember what it was like standing there, and you're trying to picture it as best you can in your head, and then you see this tree that had some kind of funky abnormality, and it just all comes rushing back because it's definitely what you saw, and even the amount of time things took. That's another one. Like, it all happens in seconds, but it feels like minutes.
Right.
You remember it like it was minutes.
Like that bull stood there for 10 seconds, and it felt like 20 minutes. Like just churn or something like that. It's just after seeing it, like watching all the footage and stuff. Are you more down now to film, or because you never were against it really?
No. The problem is it's an added difficulty factor. And one of the last podcasts I listened to was you and Anthony talking about things that are crutches and things that make it a little harder.
Camera,
video, and camera equipment and recording equipment.
That
is a huge disadvantage. Having to, it almost always works out to where we bring that stuff with the greatest of intentions and end up with nothing. Trying to chop together a pretty nice little video of a few clips we have. Not much of animals, no shots, no shooter taking a shot.
Right.
Almost never any of that. We always want to, but it never works out that way.
Well, until you're willing to have somebody, and I've come to this conclusion. I've heard other guys talk about it. Until you're willing to have a guy leave a bow in the truck and bring the camera, you're not going to get the footage you need. If you're not willing to lose an animal or opportunity in an animal, you're not going to get the shots you need.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing. If you're not willing to lose an animal
right.
over the fact that you want to get it on camera,
right. like the buck this year. I'm like, you're like, oh, should I grab the camera? I'm like, fuck that. Let's go kill this thing. And hindsight, you were right behind me. You could have got the whole thing on film.
Yep.
And I'm like, as soon as like I got back home and I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, I really fucked up. I should have had Mitchell with the long lens. You could have got the whole arrow and fly everything. And it would have been
it all just goes out the window.
Yeah.
For me especially.
For me it's like, nope, that's the one I wanted. I'm going to kill that back. Like, we're not going to screw around with this.
Sticking to your guns is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And, I think in the future, things will be a little different. When it comes to the time we take off.
Yeah.
And let's hope by then we know what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, for deer, I'll film. I'll leave a camera in the truck. Like I've said this multiple times on the podcast. Deer, I love deer hunting, but I'm willing to let it slide.
I think you mean practice?
What?
Those practice critters that you're allowed to hunt.
Yeah,
those things that don't matter to anybody. Some people are big deer hunters, and don't get me wrong, it's definitely I will travel. I will go to halfway across the state
for a deer.
Shoot those things, but
right. They just don't do it like
they're not the same. It's not the same.
Right.
It's
like the dynamic between turkeys and elk. It's that same dynamic, or between turkeys and deer. It's that same difference for me from deer to turkey. Like, it's not even the same thing anymore, unless it's a big buck and I have him. I know he's in there, like that one this year I was trying to kill. It's like, I don't care about turkeys. I'm going to hunt them this year because turkey jerky sounds really cool, and I have the Traeger. I'm going to try and do it. I want to try and get the budget bow, to show everybody, I'm going hunting with the budget bow and all this stuff. But it's not a priority for me like a bear is. Like, if I'm turkey hunting and I have a bear tag, you're just not going to see that. Unless I have a day where I can the bears aren't out, or it's going to rain, or I know I have turkeys that I can go kill on someone's property. I'm out looking for a bear.
Way more elusive, way more
special.
There's a lot more
meat
accomplishment. Yeah, it's just not something that happens every day. And put it like this: if you threw all the laws out the window and you could just go kill whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted, by any means you wanted, killing an elk is still going to be hard. It's not going to be just if I wanted to kill a deer, I could kill a deer in the next 45 minutes. Right now, if we walked out of here and said we don't care what laws we break, what time of year it is, whatever, what we use, I could go kill a deer without being 2 miles off of I-5.
Oh, for sure. You could drive I-5 at 7 o'clock.
Grab a pair of binoculars, hit the freeway, and glass for a second, find a deer. I could kill a deer in 45 minutes from now. Could I do that with an elk?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, good luck.
Don't think so.
I mean, the only place I would go is I'd go up just west of where, Roseburg here, and just drive around up in the woods.
And then hunting them with a bow, whole nother level.
Yeah.
It's
a challenge.
It's only going to work one time of the year.
Right.
Mating. That's it. When you can trick them into getting close to you.
Well, that late season bow tag that we never even got to go on, that's just to kind of get me out in the woods, very low odds thing, and luckily I filled my tag before it even came around. But it's like you said, a challenge, and it is a challenge. And for me, there's just something special about elk, just like mule deer with a rifle. For me, I love that. I love that. Those are almost tied, but it's all centered around success, right? I mean, when you have enough successes, not that I'm a super successful fucking hunter or anything, or I'm the shit, but I've killed deer pretty much every year since I was allowed to hunt, right? It's just, it loses its specialness, I guess, because I have a horrible dictionary. There should be a better word for that, but it loses its prestige, yeah. And then an elk, it's just, wow, look how big it is. Every time you get up to it, it's like freaking horse, man, with antlers.
Yeah, there's just something to be said about that completely. When one of those is dead, you almost are like looking over your shoulder, like, just so we're clear, this is okay, right? Even though I did it with a bow, it was 30 yards away.
Yeah, and
they're we've been in them a lot, and
this
is the stuff that's hanging out at Yellowstone Park that minivans are pulling over and taking pictures of, and they're just letting us kill them.
Right. Yeah.
It's not easy.
They're just such
it feels
special.
wrong.
It
does
they're
feel
letting
wrong.
us do this.
It feels illegal is what it feels because they're just so
freaking awesome.
It's like as majestic as an American eagle to me, or a bison or something. It's it's just a lot. There's a lot behind an elk. It's people have been living on.
Well, we'll put it this way. And I've said this multiple times. People like talk about Africa, and they're like, "Man, how cool is shooting that blue wildebeest?" I'm like, about half as cool as a bull elk.
That's a good way to put it.
You know, like it got my heart beating. You know, but nothing like a bull elk screaming at you. Like that bull I shot this year, nothing. There's just nothing. That mule deer I shot this year, way more than that blue wildebeest. I mean, and that blue wildebeest is a once in a lifetime thing, but it's just I didn't have to struggle for it.
Maybe it's because you went to a place you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And when you went there, they were just there.
It was there.
You just shot them.
It's probably a really big deal for that outfitter.
Maybe.
But for me, it's like, I don't know anything. Like, yeah, okay, we failed one stock, and then the next stock I'm like, okay, I told him, okay, I guess I'm willing to shoot one of these wildebeest things. They're pretty cool. And then literally 3 hours later, I had one on the ground. I'm like, okay, where's the struggle here?
You planned that trip almost a year out.
Year and a half.
Oh, go on.
Yeah.
Might correct me then.
Yeah.
Anyway.
How dare you, sir?
Yeah. Anyway, and the whole time you're talking with somebody that had done it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're telling you what it's going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have a chance at this and that. You kill whatever you want to pay for.
Right.
You can just do it. I think part of why elk are special is because, a lot of these people get into it and get after them.
There's no gimmies.
They never, ever kill one. If you're not really willing to put the time in,
right,
you're just not going to – you don't get lucky on an elk like you do a deer. You can catch a buck during the rut with a rifle being mentally challenged. It's not my podcast where I would say it.
I don't care. You can get in. Okay, you guys, I'll have to correct something here because you can get lucky. I mean, we've had really bad luck where we've like had bulls just walk right into us and we're like, fucking, what do we do? Like you weren't paying attention because the bull. Remember that spike?
That's different. That's a spike. That's I did say elk, but what I mean is you're not going to go kill a trophy animal acting like that.
Oh yeah,
and
I can see.
They're just not going to fall in your lap.
Right.
That's the point. Why this is so fun is because it's so difficult.
Right.
And that's just the way I see it. It's because I don't really feel like I've done anything if I shoot a really, really nice 160-inch 4-point
with a rifle.
With a even with a bow.
Really, even with a bow?
No. Something about the animal itself is like.
What if you got your ass kicked for 4 days straight, and then the first opportunity you get was at a 170, and you shot him with a bow?
The only way that scenario would make me feel like overwhelmingly elk proud, which I just made that up.
Elk proud.
You can use it.
Hashtag.
Anyway, is if that buck got away from me all 4 days and just eluded me the entire trip. That might come close, but just, at the end, it's a buck. It's a buck.
Some guys are just shaking their heads right now. I'm like, man.
It's just different,
Everybody has their own strokes.
I've always had, maybe it's just I was born lucky when it comes to hunting deer. It seems like they're always there waiting to be found. You'd always go, you're looking, you find.
It's a matter
something.
Of when.
Whether your standards are high or low, every season, I mean, unless you shoot the first little dink you see.
Right.
You see a nice buck every year. If you get out there enough, you see them. They're there. It's that common. Now, killing a herd bull, everybody's trying to kill a herd bull.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of herd bulls. There's a lot of bulls, but if you take down a herd bull and it's just a monster. Yeah. And it's 7 years old, 8 years old. You
did something.
That's special.
You
succeeded where who knows how many people failed.
Yeah.
And that's that's just what it is. And they do weird things, but predictable things.
Yeah.
During their mating season, kind of like deer. They're really lazy in the summertime when we get to hunt them.
Right.
And I've seen really nice bucks just standing there looking at you. And whether or not it was a place we couldn't kill them or a time of day, it wouldn't have worked. We've seen some nice ones on the highway at dark.
Yeah. 2 or 3
if this were daylight, they'd be legal.
Right.
Some of the biggest bucks I've ever seen. They just don't care that you're looking at them. They don't care that you're 40
Walked
yards
off.
away.
Yeah.
All day long, easy shot. Elk just don't act that way.
Yeah.
Never do you just stand there and look at elk 40 yards away. More than one, especially. No way. Not in my experience.
Well, I never grew up with I would say my family was never really successful growing up hunting elk. And so, I mean, I don't know how many elk you killed when you were younger. I mean, I've killed 3, total. But, like if you don't grow up hunting elk, I feel like it's harder to get success later in life than it is getting a deer later in life. It's just harder in general killing an elk, I think. That's my perspective. Some guys are like, screw that, I can go kill an elk every year. Deer's my challenge. Well, maybe.
I don't think anybody.
You don't think anybody says that?
No, I don't think anybody out there is saying elk are easy, deer are hard. I don't think that's even a thing.
I don't think that's a thing, but maybe elk are easier than deer for some folks. I don't know. Maybe it depends on where you live.
I know some people that claim to be pretty masterful elk hunters, and it's not really that hard for them. But when, neither is deer hunting. They just don't care. They're at the point where, like,
they're just
elk
that
just
good.
Supersede. It's just the next level.
Yeah.
Because it's that much harder. And when you master elk, deer doesn't seem like much. And it just killing a monster mule deer with a rifle. I'm into that. Don't get me wrong. It's up there too. Because that's kind of why I pick up a rifle and we go mule deer hunting together.
Because you can get that one that you never get a chance at with a bow. You
just never know. You never know how big a mule deer you can find because mule deer are weird like that. They can be so big, and for no reason.
That's just what a mule deer is.
Something about the way an old mule buck looks. That's when it gets cool. But feeling a tag on a deer, that's kind of more of what I'm talking about. Feeling a tag on a deer, he's gay. I think a lot of people would agree that it's not hard.
Well, what about killing a cow? We could kill a cow in the first 2 days of a hunt. Usually, you and I mean, we get into cows pretty damn regularly.
Yeah.
Maybe don't get the shots at the bulls, but we just watched a video where you passed up a cow at 20 yards. Maybe less.
That was my second bull or second elk ever was a cow.
Yeah.
And the first one was it's a sad story. Anyway, it was a bull, but it was a sad story.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. God.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Muzzleloader. Bull.
Oh yeah. I was thinking of a different one.
Well, that I call it the one I'm talking about for sure died. The other one did not.
So, it was found later, about 3 months later.
Yeah, muzzleloader, bull tag on a shot that was just probably couldn't have been any better. No reason to keep looking when you scoured the whole area. Never found a drop of blood.
Well, the problem was that it was raining literally about as hard as I've ever seen Oregon rain, and that's Oregon rain on the coast. And
neck deep in ferns, and
the blood was washed away probably just as soon as it hit the ground. I mean, and the bull died in the creek, which was a river at the time, and I don't think you would have found him.
The biggest problem with that, for me, and probably the biggest game changer was when you shoot a muzzleloader, you don't really know what happened.
Yeah. You always need somebody standing like 4 feet off to the side to tell you if you.
If I had seen what you saw,
dude, that thing almost fell over when you hit it. It was like running a truck into it.
All right, I had all these doubts of whether or not I hit it, especially when we couldn't find blood for the amount of time we looked. And but you just got nothing but smoke in front of you after you shoot. You don't know what happened. And I have you over there high-fiving me and hugging me, telling me I just killed a monster bull.
Yeah.
That was that's why we looked for as long as we did,
that was one of the biggest. That would have been probably number 4 or 3 in Oregon according to the record books. I guarantee there's bigger ones killed, but and there's been bigger bulls killed now that I've seen on Facebook and stuff. So it'd probably be like number 6 now. But still, that was like number 2 or probably 3 or 4 in Oregon when you shot it.
Yeah, that was my first elk.
Yeah,
that would have been my first elk.
Yeah, did I ever show you the pictures of it?
Yeah.
Big bull.
It was a whole thing. I could have bought the dead head off of a logger.
Should have turned those guys in. Long story short.
Yeah, that's hindsight. He wanted to he was trying to gouge us for the
$200. Yeah, you want your head back? $200. Yeah. You're a douche.
And I didn't feel good about it anyway.
Yeah. But it would have completed the story. I mean, I wish we would have. If I wasn't so cheap, I would have. And then I would have turned the guy in. or how about I don't turn your ass in and you give me my rack back? Because you just broke the law, sir. You have to leave that shit in the woods.
Deadheads?
Yeah. In Oregon, you cannot take a deadhead out.
Only in some places, right?
I think it's Oregon, period.
Well,
yeah.
I know Hart Mountain's that way.
Hart Mountain's, you can't even take an antler. off the ground.
That's kind of, well, maybe I'm getting that confused.
You can't,
because you can take antlers from just about anywhere but places like
Heart. If you want to take it out, I think you have to crack the skull. I think.
Well, that's probably not legal.
In half, because you can't score it then.
Oh, right. That's why it's illegal?
I believe so, because the guys could shoot a monster, hang it up in a tree, come back a year later and get it. I think that's why.
Oh, you mean like poach them?
Poach it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you find a deadhead, I believe in Oregon, and somebody should just message me if I'm wrong here, email me, but I believe you have to leave a deadhead. I know you do. In Oregon, you have to leave the deadhead in there. And if you're going to take it, I don't think you can, but I believe there might be a loophole if you crack the head in half and separate the antlers. Because you can take sheds and shit. Yeah, you can take sheds and shit, obviously. But
up until this point, deadhead, shed, didn't matter. I would take it.
Yeah. Because I might have found a deadhead one time and posted a picture about, how I was excited to take it home, and somebody messaged me, hey, man, you might not want to be posting that. OSP will show up on your door. It's like a 3-point blacktail or something.
Yeah, and the law doesn't really determine the kind of people, the difference in the kind of people.
Yeah.
I see if I found the most
gnarly,
monstrous bull that's ever been killed that was just dead laying in the woods, I'm just not the kind of person that would go score that, because somebody's always going to know, and that
someone knows
you.
Yeah, I guarantee you that bull probably died of somebody shooting it, like that one monster bull at Powers we shot, put out of its misery. Got the permission first from the OSP. Right. I didn't just fucking shoot this bull, but put one in the back of its head from literally like 2 feet away because it couldn't get up.
I
want to get that rack back.
I was really nerve-wracked throughout that whole thing. And you were like dead set on making sure that we killed this thing before we left.
It was just the right thing to do.
We can't just kill a bull. And then you're on the phone with a state trooper in charge of game around here.
Yeah, he's like, cut the head off and bring it down to him. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'll put it out of its misery. If I'm not driving down this mountain with a fucking 6x7 or whatever, with 7x8 bull in the back of my truck when it's a youth cow season.
Yeah, youth cow.
Not doing that.
No.
And I would really like to get that rack back and return it to the family, Brad's family, Kim's family.
Just
because it would be cool.
I think they ended up with it.
I don't think they did. I know they didn't.
Oh,
for a fact, because I was telling Alice how much I wanted to see that rack again, because that was the last time I think I saw Don.
You ended up seeing him through that?
Yeah. Well, I took him up, or I think did I take him?
You
up?
just told him the mile marker.
I just told him the mile marker, but that was the last time I think I talked to Don.
Oh.
That's what I meant. So, yeah, it's kind of special to me, because that's the last time I got to talk to Don, work with him. I did the right thing, Somebody gut shot that thing 2 weeks prior, and it was still running, still crawling around.
Yeah, it wasn't in good shape.
Just wasn't the right thing to do.
It was about we'll probably say 300 pounds, and it was a 7-year-old bull.
Yeah, it was a giant bull.
It was disgusting.
Just frail, looked like it hadn't. Yeah, I mean,
I don't trust my luck enough to be able to.
Well, I remember saying when we were up there, if this is how I lose my hunting rights, so be it.
Yeah.
I remember saying that, and I was dead set on doing the right thing, and I could look a judge in the eye and say, you can take my hunting rights. I did the right fucking thing. Yeah. And then when I got Don's permission, I was like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, I was on board then, but before that, you weren't having it. You weren't letting that animal act that way. And I respect that in a way, but
it just bothered me to my soul, man. Like, I have so much respect and love for the animals. Like, right there just proves that we're not out to kill. Like mercy, respect. How about that? Just showing it mercy. Just put it out of its freaking misery.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's going to die sad, slow.
It could be 2 weeks before it dies. It's got a lot of meat and fat, that body.
Snow just started flying. That's that's part of the problem. Everything else was down below the snow line, and he was still up.
He was still up there.
He was still up there and struggling.
Yep.
So we
God, what a bull. I bet he scored. I don't even know what he scored. He was over 300, I bet.
I have a picture
for Rosie. Do you still have a picture of him?
I'll send it
I should post him.
I'll send it to you. You can post it.
Yeah, I'll post it. Oh, yeah. So, I'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, it's a big bull.
No, I'm not wearing any camouflage or anything.
I don't want to brag to anybody, but I did shoot a 7x8 Rosie.
Yeah.
At 2 yards.
Yeah. Right in the back of the neck.
Right in the back of the head, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll send you a picture. You can post it if you want. But I'm not wearing any camo because I was...
Didn't we chop off your head of the picture on purpose?
No.
Oh.
This picture I have is just...
You gripping and grinning this elk we dispatched?
I was dressed for snow, not for hunting. We were just tagging along on a youth hunt. We were just trying to find a bull for a cow for a youth buddy of ours friend. And we ended up doing this instead. So, yeah. Anyway.
Oh, man. Well, we are 25 minutes deep into an episode. We're supposed to be talking about being prepared. Yeah. I don't even care if we talk about it this episode. We can record 2 episodes. I don't care.
I'm down for as many episodes as you want. But what we want to touch on, and we talked about it, and I think the best way to put it is bare minimums. Bare essentials,
I was going to contrast that because we have 2 people on different ends of the spectrum here. Not to make you sound, because there's a reason you are on the end of the spectrum of where you are for being training and working out and preparing and shooting. And then there's mine, which is completely different.
Right.
You've got 3 kids now, 1 on the way, 2 are already here.
That's right.
I don't. I've got more time. My job, it's salary, so I mean I work, but I don't work as much as you do. I mean, how many hours do you work a week?
That's probably 50 to 60 most of the week.
50, 60, weeks, yeah. See, we're supposed to try to keep it around 40, but
half of that is from here, from home.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a different thing. And so when I'm talking about what I'm doing, I don't want people to feel like a lazy piece of shit because they're not doing what I'm doing or doing what Cameron Haynes is doing, or all these guys that are super like elite level, way higher than anywhere I could ever be, versus somebody that's just getting into it, doesn't have time to go run, hike, work out, or any of these things.
I'll tell you this. If you want to use the excuse, I don't have the time, you better be busy. You better be damn busy because I don't have the time. But I know, and it might shorten your ability. It might be a disadvantage in the end when you get out there and when you get hunting.
Right.
If you only can score 4 days off to elk hunt, what happened? It's what happened to us last year.
Yeah.
And if you haven't had the time to, I don't know that not having the time to stay in some kind of decent shape is a good excuse for anybody. Because
you should be healthy.
You should
whether you're busy or not.
Even if you're
busy.
not doing a thing, you should not be eating.
You should be a glutton
to the point where you can't walk around in the woods for a couple days.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
That's fair to say.
It's coming from somebody that even drives a lot for work. You're a trucker pretty much right now.
Yeah. Oh, don't I have to do things now that I didn't have to do before?
Yeah.
I try not to drink beer on weeknights, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Because that's just you drink 5 beers, you're talking about 600 calories added to your diet for.
Isn't one beer like 5 pieces of bread or something like that?
That's what they say.
Yeah.
1 beer is worth 5 pieces of 5 slices of bread.
And I ate a whole loaf the other night then. It was bad. You ate like 3 loaves.
Yeah. You can do that. Just don't do it every day.
Yeah.
And
just if you're going to drink, just binge drink. It's okay.
Simple things. I've been grip training in the truck. Right now I'm driving dump truck for a living, and I'm not happy about it, but I'm the only one around with CDL, and
really,
and they need to fill that seat, so I agreed to do it for foreseeable future. And knowing that, I got a hold of some grip training, 200 and 150 pound strength.
Really?
And I'm just clicking them all day.
Like over the top? Just driving truck?
Just like that. The old Lincoln Hawk. Anyway, and I don't know if that'll have much of an effect on, but I'm thinking maybe on my it might come into play a little bit when it comes time to shoot my bow and aim a little bit, a little bit of steadiness in the wrist. When you don't have that wrist, when you have such wrist strength that your bow doesn't weigh a thing, that might help a little bit. But your shoulders, it's not going to help your shoulders. It's not going to do anything for your shoulders, but in some way maybe it'll help. But it's just I want to be doing something. So
even if it's just a mental thing, like I can not shoot my bow for a week, and I feel when I go back to the range, like I'm starting completely over. Like I'm just and I know it's mental, right? But I feel like I'm struggling to find my anchor. Like I could just sit right into it if I shoot every day. But when I don't shoot for a week, it's like
that's definitely a learning curve.
Weird, and I feel like I lose that edge, and it's like an onset doubting that you put on yourself. It's like I don't know. It's really hard to describe, but I guarantee if like you talk to somebody that is like a professional level, and then you don't let them do that for a month, and then they go back, they're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm such a piece of shit," but he's still better than most people out there.
The average Joe for sure.
Yeah,
and that's the point of this podcast. Is I think it's a lot easier to reach your your highest level than it is to achieve your highest level.
Well, it's like working out. If you work out, you build the muscle, it's easier to get back.
Not only that, muscle memory and all the things that go into that specifically, like form, you're not going to forget. Right. You don't lose you don't forget how to do a bench press if you haven't done a bench press in 5 years.
Right.
You learned it, you know it. That's not going away. And I think shooting is a lot like that. Every time you forget and relearn, your recovery time gets shorter and shorter. Mm-hmm. And some people can't grab a hold of their bow and go to the range and sharpen their skills until it's go time, until it's about to be here. They can't lose that time all summer. Summer's, the problem with bow season is at the end of summer.
Yeah.
What happens every summer for you? Somebody's always doing something, right? And there's always some birthday party or some damn thing you got to go to.
Both have weddings in June.
Weddings are another one. It's like it's always something. And the weather's nice, everybody's out doing. It's just it's hard to find the time.
Right.
These winter months when no one else is doing it, it's really nice to get down to the range and shoot. Yeah. But it almost to me feels like a waste of time because I know that at some point between this winter and next summer, I'm going to take a 2-month hiatus. Probably going to happen, before I do between doing anything. And it's like after that 2 months, you pick it up, you start again, all over. So it's worthless almost to even go sharpen up. It's probably not. It's probably in some way the more arrows you shoot, doesn't matter the time, the gaps, the regularity, it's probably all training. It's probably all good. For me, shooting a lot in a short amount of time, that does it. That does a lot. And you only really need to shoot. It doesn't really matter how long it takes you, but a week before bow season, if you shoot 1,000 arrows, you're in pretty good shape for shooting.
Well, I want to contrast that. I want to push back on that. Because I think for you, that works, right? Because I know your setup, nothing changes. Your bows, if you need it tuned immediately, I'll freaking do it for you. You've already got the broadheads you're going to use. You already got the arrows you're going to use. Nothing's changed about anything of your setup, right? But what if somebody's just getting into the sport and they're a week before season?
Well,
I would say don't.
Let's go back. Let's go way back. Let's go back to the first bow I ever had, which is a secondhand bow that I got from you.
Was it the PSE or?
Yeah, it was. PSE
X-Force.
X-Force, yeah.
08.
It is 27 inches. 27-inch draw, and I'm a 29.5.
Yeah.
And that might not mean anything to some people, but
that's back when I was shooting a 27-inch draw.
Well, that's what it was. I don't know if you ever got it corrected or not. This is early. This is early on for us. This is the bow you had.
I was in high school when I had that.
Yeah,
bow.
you were.
I did a little bit of growing.
I don't know about you, but I grew in high school and I grew after high school. So 29.5 inches, and I'm like 20 when I get into this whole thing, or maybe even 21. I want to say I've only been doing this for like 5 years. So, like
bow hunting.
Yeah,
I'd say probably 5 or 6 years.
And I kind of. But anyway, that's.
Yeah.
I had really no interest in it, and all of a sudden, that sounds fun.
Let's do it. Garrett's pretty on board with this bow hunting bullshit.
And what and the reason that it was so fun for me was it's like I'm stimulated by anything that I see rapid improvement. And when I picked the bow up that wasn't my size and was pretty outdated at the time. This may have been 13, and the bow was an 08.
Right.
It's not top of
the
line.
It's a 5-year-old bow, top of line 5 years ago.
Shooting the arrows that you say you like to shoot. Okay, whatever. You know. And whatever's cheap. I remember I was buying those Beemans.
Limb splintered on you a little bit. Remember that?
Yeah, that happened way later.
Yeah.
That was next season.
Yeah.
But thinking, watching people shoot at a target, having never shot a bow.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, they're stabbing the paper plate. They're almost hitting, they're getting at 30 yards, they're hitting bullseyes. And at 60 yards, they're hitting a paper plate, a small paper plate, 5 out of 6 times or 4 out of 5, whatever you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, man, they worked hard to do that. They worked really hard to do that. And then on day one, if you never shot, and you have somebody there to help you out, you can be stabbing a pie plate at 40 yards over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah, that's what I tell people that are interested in it. I'm not the guy to go to for like all, every detail on shooting bows and bowmanship, but I can tell you this, you surprise yourself on day one.
Oh yeah.
Day one, at the end of a 6-hour set of shooting, you'd be lethal at 40 yards on an animal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
you'd have a little bit of work cut out for you in that time frame, though, because there's shooting a field point and then there's shooting a broadhead.
Right.
And they're two completely different things.
Well, let's say that you shot a tune bow with a broadhead.
Okay.
And you did that all day.
And you're how far before season? And you're just starting?
6 hours.
6 hours before season?
Yeah.
I'd say no, don't do it.
I'm talking about 6 hours, maybe 300 shots.
I wouldn't do it.
And 40 yards. What happens, man? You miss by a little bit?
I wouldn't trust. I wouldn't. Like Mike's kid.
No, I'm not saying do it.
Oh.
I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying that you'd be a real threat.
Oh, yeah.
To an animal at 40 yards.
I wouldn't
suggest
that person get a tag that year.
No.
Yeah.
But what does it really take? What does it take to be lethal at 40 yards?
Less and less with all the technology.
Oh, it's crazy.
Is that you or me?
That's me.
Oh. Here. Okay. So, I mean, it doesn't take as much as it used to, and it's going to continue to get improved. The learning curves will get quicker with all the information that's available now from podcasts like this to others out there with all the YouTube videos. You could literally learn how to shoot a bow, tune a broadhead, tie a serving, tie a D-loop, whatever, just off of my channel alone, right? I've got over 100 freaking videos on YouTube now on bow hunting mostly. And it doesn't take a lot to get good. The bows are fantastic nowadays. The sights are retardedly good. I mean, anybody could go out and get good as long. I don't know what the time frame would be for, because here's my thing. Just because you can hit a pie plate a bunch at 40 yards and you bow a week out before season, what are you going to do without all that time and effort and work going into hunting season when that deer walks out? Are you going to easily forget that week? Or are you going to hold your shit together? I mean, granted, I know some guys that have hunted their whole lives that can't keep their shit together when a elk or a bull or a bear walks out.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing, though.
So
that's a totally different thing when it comes to like your accuracy and your ability to shoot. And like,
if you can't hit a pie plate at 40 yards after a day of shooting, there's something going on.
Yeah, that's pretty much, you can say that about just about anybody.
Right.
Even women.
I agree.
Women and children.
Totally agree.
What happens when you miss by a lot, you correct and you're a little closer.
Right.
Next shot,
you learn.
You're a little closer. Next shot, and that doesn't take long to happen. It doesn't take very long to get good, especially at target. At target shooting, it doesn't take very long to get good.
No.
You spend most of your time getting very good. And that's where it just gets longer and longer and longer and compounds, and all the things you learn almost make it harder. And that's what the case was for me. I grabbed your bow, way too short for me, whatever, started
your elbows arrows. Bent at like a 45.
Oh, it was all kinds of wrong.
Right.
But I'm hitting this plate, and it's like, oh, this is
awesome.
easy.
This is great.
It seems easy,
Yeah.
Then you learn more about, okay, well, make sure your level.
Yeah.
Okay.
You did that for a year.
Make sure this is what good form looks like. Make sure you're holding
right,
and you're not
same grip.
You're not pulling the arrow one way or the other, and it just took every little time. It's like a reset.
Yeah.
You were bad for a little bit, and if you stuck with the good form or the good proper stance, it always your performance always suffers every time you learn something until you work that into your routine. And
I want
to get comfortable with it.
I want to stop you real quick and reiterate something you just said that I will be using from now on. You spend most of your time getting really good. You spend the least amount of your time getting good. I think that is nail on the head. I mean, it doesn't take you just summed it up in one sentence right there. It doesn't take very much to get good. It takes a lot to get really good.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of working out.
Yeah.
If you go to the gym and you lift weights for a couple hours one day, you're not going to see a damn thing.
So just be sore the next day.
But if you don't know bow hunting at all, you go out and shoot for a day, and you've done it, and you've shot targets 40, 50 yards. Nothing extreme, and you were able to hit a pie plate most of the time at 50 yards.
Yeah.
You've covered 80% of the battle. 80% of the battle in a couple hours, and the rest is the rest of that 20%. And you're never really going to get to 100. No one's going to be smacking bullseyes every time they release.
Right.
And there is no perfect.
There's human error.
There is no way that that's going to happen. There's no way that this bullseyes all the time. Like, if it was bow ranges and I had a rifle, Yeah, that's achievable. you can definitely shoot bullseyes all day. Up to 80 yards.
Yeah, I've seen
with a rifle. You know,
I can't. I'm not. I just
reference being like off a bench.
Oh
or something,
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty. There's not a lot that goes
achievable.
into that. You're pulling a trigger. You know,
Yeah.
you don't pull the trigger when you're not gonna. As soon as you're gonna hit where you want, you're steady. You're gonna hit. That's it.
Right.
You know, there's so many more things that go into bow hunting, but you can get good enough in a short amount of time. That's the whole point.
That's your deal. But good enough.
Good enough.
My deal is how good. Right.
That's where you get Olympian.
That's the spectrum.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm not a fucking Olympian or anything. I don't want to even put that thought out there. There's plenty of guys that kill me at bow shoots. Plenty of guys, right? But I'm in that top. You know, if there's a couple hundred shooters, I'm usually in that top 6. You know, like I'm towards the top, but there's always plenty of 5 or 6 guys that are completely on another level, right? And so there's me that puts, and I know what it is. They're just shooting more than I am. They're just spending more time working their craft. It's nothing that I can't achieve. It just takes more time, which I don't want to commit to that, right? They're just willing to do that. And then you have you, who we went shooting. Were you there? Yeah, you were there. It was me, Anthony, Mike, and Jeremy. Jeremy hardly ever shoots. Mike doesn't shoot hardly at all. Anthony shoots a little bit. And then you have me Anthony shoots quite a bit. And then you have me that's out there all the freaking time. Right? It's no wonder why, and the margins are always usually about the same. It's about 40 points, right?
Right.
And then your margins are always right there. It's like you, Shelby, Anthony are always competing right there.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm just shooting fucking by myself because I'm out there and I work for it more. I mean, it's not that I'm better. It's just I've committed more time to it.
We've been to probably...
I don't know how many shoots.
It's in the 20s. I would say it's probably in the 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
And not once have I ever outshot you. Maybe at first halves, I've taken you on some first halves.
You've taken me on the first half.
But you always pull away, and that's just that's the difference. This is what we're talking about.
The work
target
ethic.
Shooting at varying ranges and varying
right.
in shots and uphill, downhill, whatever, all the stuff that you may not be prepared for.
Right.
Garrett would excel and take the lead and keep it. But I could be off to a good start. He could be having some
Anthony
issue.
first half kicked my ass last time. Second half, I shot hundreds. And I averaged a 10 out of 11 points or 12 points, which is good for me.
I would consider myself a casual shooter.
And
I wouldn't consider you a casual shooter by any stretch.
I would say
you're a committed shooter.
I would say, yeah. I mean, I'll put 12 to 15,000 arrows downrange before hunting season this year. Yeah. I think the average person's probably 2,000. I don't know.
The average person?
I don't know.
It's 2,000?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, from the beginning of the year to August?
That's 500 rounds of 5-arrow quiver.
What?
2,000 arrows.
Yeah.
500 rounds of a 5-arrow quiver. That's 2,500.
Okay. I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm saying that's
2,000.
That's 500 times shooting 5 arrows and walking and picking your arrows up.
Yeah, it goes by quick when you shoot for.
No, dude. I think 500 on a day at the range, and if we were there for 3 hours, we might do that.
That's
15 times.
No. When I'm by myself shooting for 3 hours, I'll shoot because I tracked it one year. I'd shoot 6 arrow strings. I'd shoot for 3.5 hours. That'd be about 215 to 220 arrows by myself. But that's going and not taking any breaks. That's just shooting 5, going back, shooting 6, going back and doing that a bunch. And then I'd have my little Excel spreadsheet. I'd mark all my shit down, and then it'd be about 200 shots on average.
That's 23 trips if you divide that by 5.
Yeah, that's not that much.
23 trips. I'm saying 15 is an average for 3 hours. You're saying people on average do 500? That's every weekend in all the summer months.
I'm saying between right at the beginning of the year, January 1st, and August, they're going to shoot 2,000 arrows.
I think that's high.
You think that's high?
I think that's high.
I don't know. But we should take a poll.
I think majority people don't even touch their bow till, let's say,
2 weeks.
June.
Yeah.
At the earliest.
Yeah.
Most people, the majority.
Yeah.
And it increases up until 2 weeks before season. That number just grows and grows and grows. You see it. You go to the ranges.
Yeah.
Activity on bow gear, anything, any Facebook page that's selling or
Look
buying.
at the broadhead shelves 2 weeks before season.
Yeah.
Every year. Good luck buying one.
Right.
My shit's tuned. Granted, I'm figuring out my setup right now, and I'm still tuning for broadheads right now. But the arrows that that I'm going to be using. I haven't even hardly shot yet because they're. I'm not even going to get into those. They're the budget bow challenge arrows.
Right.
And right now my bow doesn't like them, so I'm gonna have to change some stuff about that. But long story short, I typically shoot broadheads year round. Like, I will make sure my bow, if I have some surprise opportunity to go hunting somewhere, I want to know that I can shoot that broadhead tomorrow or right now. Bear season's coming up in April. I'll be shooting broadheads before April, you know. I'll be shooting broadheads probably this weekend. It targets outside of the shoot we're going to. There's a difference between that and doing your bow 2 weeks before season, you know.
That's where we're different. I'm going to pick up broadheads in the month before bow season. I'm gonna hope that they shoot pretty close to my field tips.
Nap Hellraisers.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm going with. If it isn't broke, don't fix it.
They're such a bitch to sharpen, though.
Yeah, they are. I'm afraid to move off of them, though. The problem with that is when you've been burned, you don't forget about it. And I've been burned, and I don't want to try anything new unless I'm trying it on an animal.
Right.
And these Nap Hellraisers, I double lunged a bull.
Yeah.
Threw one rib cage out the other into a tree. It took 2 guys to pull the arrow out of the tree.
Yep.
I'm not going to forget that.
Went through your deer shish kebab style this year.
Let's flashback to Magnus Stingers, where the thing just destroyed on impact, and I lost a bull. Would have been my first bull at the time. It was a sour taste.
I wish I would have got that shot on film too, so I could go back and watch it, but because I didn't get to see it. I just got to see the aftermath and everything, and we're not trying to talk bad about anybody. I'm gonna kind of cover my ass here. I like Magnus products. I just don't like all of their products.
You have to cover my ass. I shot Magnus Stingers. I'll never do it again. That's a fact.
That's I neither will I. I might shoot a black hornet or something, but no, you're not going to see me shooting that. But and it's a great company. Like Mike's a great guy, but it is what it is. I can't be ashamed of our experience with it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But there's a difference between, okay, so how good do you need to be, in your opinion, to go out and shoot?
It entirely depends on...
To go hunting.
It entirely depends on... It depends on a lot of things.
Okay.
First being what happens when you're confronted with a situation to kill an animal.
Uh-huh.
What happens to you?
Mm-hmm.
You can't practice for that. That's not something you're going to go learn at the range. You're not going to learn how your body shakes when there's a bull 28 yards away bugling right in front of you broadside.
Right.
There's no training for that. That only happens when it happens. Now let's just pretend that doesn't happen at all. How good do you have to be fair and ethical to that animal to make a good shot? You better put 2 weeks of shooting in pretty close to when you're hunting them.
Right.
And you better have done it before. If you've never done it before, you probably need to have 6 months of on and off shooting. And I think that as a hunter, I would have no problem with somebody taking a shot at an animal with all the anxiety and adrenaline effects aside. If that weren't a factor, and that depends on the person, that's a person by person basis, I would have no problem with somebody taking a shot at an animal. At 40 yards, 50 yards tops.
Yeah, you're going to keep
some practice.
You're going to keep the distance, and for some people, that's way beyond their max distance.
That's all you really learn. If you put more and more and more time into this, what's the only thing you like doing now? You're not still stacking 30-yard targets up with arrows that are you're just smacking arrows. No. You can only do that for so long.
Right.
That's not fun anymore.
I remember when we didn't.
Now we're shooting 100 yards for fun, and we're getting pretty damn good at it. And when I say we, I mean you.
Yeah. No.
But I've been there.
I don't even have a 100 pin anymore.
No, that's not an animal killing. That's not a hunting situation shot. Right. But it's if you can accurately make a 120-yard shot on a target.
Yeah.
A 53-yard shot on a bull is nothing. That's where that's the way the practice grows. You're good enough after a short amount of time. You're great after a lot of time and effort.
A lot of arrows. So, Mike, I guess my question is, if you had to pin yourself down, because I'm gonna lead you into something here. If you had to pin yourself down to a certain size group at say 40 yards, what would and that would be deciding if you could be effective at that range? What would be your expectation?
I would say, I don't know, how big's 1.5 elk hearts?
I'd
7
say,
inches?
Yeah. That's fair. 7 inches.
7-inch group at 40 yards.
Okay.
If you're doing that 9 times out of 10.
I'm glad you said 7 inches. Okay. I'm going to lead you into another area here. Where would you aim? Some guys like to aim really tight against the shoulder in that magic triangle area,
right,
where the kind of the bone kind of goes 45 up towards the elk's neck, right, and then it cuts back on the shoulder blade.
Right.
Some guys like to aim for that pocket right there, and if they're shooting a 7-inch group, which is just smaller than a pipe plate. Pipe plates are typically about 8 inches, right? Paper plate.
Yeah.
If you're hugging 10 inches, if you're hugging that. And you say you draw a dot on a piece of paper. Okay. That is your spot on that bull that you are now aiming.
Right.
And then here's the shoulder blade.
Yeah, there's a lot of non-lethal area in 10 inches around that. I understand what you're saying.
You're shooting a 7-inch group. I know you know where I'm going with this now. If you're shooting a 7-inch group, you're about 4 inches into that, 3 inches into that shoulder now.
I'm saying, if you're somebody that has a spot picked out you're trying to aim for on a bull, and you know what the effect on that animal is going to be when an arrow passes through it, and it's just a sweet spot, you're not somebody that hasn't practiced.
Right. I agree.
You know what the vitals look like? There's a lot of graphs out there on Facebook. Pull it up.
Yeah.
It's about 1.5 feet wide by maybe a little more narrow, horizontally. I know in the middle of that, you have 6 inches of error any direction.
Right.
And weird things happen too sometimes. You might get lucky. But if you're right in there somewhere, within 7 inches, 8 inches, 9 inches even of the perfect shot, things happen and elk die. Right. I'm not worried about that at all.
Where I shot this bull,
I've missed by a lot more, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Where I shot this bull, it's going to sound really bad. Where I shot this bull this year was where I aim. Okay, I know that sounds basic and obvious, but I hit that thing where I was aiming. Okay, so if I posted a picture of that, you're going to see that I have about 5 inches until I'm into the shoulder, maybe 6 inches, like you said, that I'm into the shoulder. I'm not hugging that shoulder that hard at all. That magic triangle is fantastic. That's great, but you're decreasing your margin of error for a lethal shot when even 6 inches back, you're increasing your margin of error with a lethal shot. I understand shooting the magic triangle. It's cool. It's fantastic. Yeah, it looks great when you post a picture and it looks like the blood's coming out the shoulder, but it's not because you hit that sweet little pocket right there. Guys love posting pictures where the blood looks like it's coming straight out of the shoulder. I get it, right? But now you just, you decreased your margin of error. Shit happens. Stuff moves. You can veer off of a branch. I aimed about right where I like to hit an elk, and that's because even though I'm capable of making a good shot at a distance, right? I'm capable of it. I still understand shit freaking happens. Let's increase our margin of error. I'm going to give myself the best chance to make a shitty shot and still kill that bull. And in my opinion, a shitty shot is 2 or 3 inches off of where I'm aiming. That's for me. I don't like that.
Elk situations.
Yeah, we're talking about
that are 35, 40 yards. Like typically, what do you think average would be? 30?
Average 35? Elk shot? Probably, I was thinking 40.
Well,
depends where you're hunting.
It depends on who you are.
Coast? Yeah. 20 yards, 30 yards.
I'll say this. If you practiced every day for 3, 4, 5 years, and you shot 600 arrows a day, you're only going to master 20% of what I think elk hunting is. And that's preparation. And I think situation is the other 80.
Situational.
Because having a broadside bull it's not just a guarantee. You're not going to have a shot at all. You're not going to use that perfection that you've mastered if a bull doesn't give you a shot, and they often don't.
Well, what about that 7-inch group at 40 yards? Or some guys I've had guys message me, and I'm not bagging on anybody, but I've had, after posting about the arrows and stuff this year, a lot of guys use that setup. A lot being relative. I don't know how many, but there was quite a few guys that had, I use that arrow combination. It absolutely decimated the elk pass through. Okay. Some guys were shooting shit at I think 60 yards frontal. I'm like, holy shit, that's a long ways.
Yeah.
Right? That margin of error, that 7-inch margin of error, if you're off 4 inches on a margin of error, if you put the bullseye in the middle of that pocket, you got 3-4 inches margin of error in one way.
Well, prospectively, if somebody's shooting a 7-inch group and they're missing by as much as 7 inches, 40 yards, you extend that out to 60 yards, and we're talking about 1.5 feet or more. That's why I'm saying 40 yards at a 7-inch group. 7 inches is toleration. If you're missing by a 1.5, if you're missing your target completely, a broadhead target, or if you're completely missing it half the time, you've exceeded what your ability is limited you to. So take it back to where you can hit within 7 inches 5 out of 5 times, 4 out of 5 times. And I as a hunter, I think that's pretty
proving
ethical.
Yourself.
It's like, okay, I make this shot all the time at the range. It's 40 yards. And I'm always within about 6 or 7 inches, but take that shot. Would you not take that shot? I'm letting it go.
Well, I'll tell you, what we're talking about here is effective range, and that's what people, your first shot, cold bore, cold bow, whatever you want to call it, your first shot is your effective range. Can you put it on target? That's what a lot of guys would say is that your effective range, and I call bullshit on that. I've done that. I never hang my hat, and this is just me being anal retentive here. I never hang my hat on one arrow. Okay, I take you out to the range. I'm a guide. Okay? I hear this all the time. Guys want to know that you can shoot. Okay. Shoot that target at 60 yards. Or how far can you shoot? Oh, I can shoot 80, Mr. Client. Okay. Mr. Guide, I can shoot 80. Show me on that Reinhardt you can shoot 80 yards. Okay. Boom. They put it pretty damn close in there. They put it in the big yellow ring. Okay, yeah, I guess you can shoot 80 yards. You're really going to hang that off of one arrow? Like, I don't agree with that. Like, if you're going to show me 3 arrows in that vital right now, never hang your hat on one arrow. And that's why I disagree with how guys get their effective range. I just don't agree with it. Like, you can go out there, you can justify shooting 80 yards because you put one arrow on paper when you have – why don't you shoot more arrows and prove it to yourself? You're worried you're going to miss? Like, I don't know. It's probably going to rub some guys the wrong way, but I don't judge my effective range by that. I judge my effective range is shooting half of Archer's MOA. That is – and I don't always do it. I probably more times than not right now, currently, the way I'm shooting, I probably wouldn't do that. What Archer's MOA is shooting, it's like MOA. It's like, you know what MOA is. It's 1 minute.
1 inch.
1 inch.
100 yards.
Yeah. Archer's MOA
1
is.
1 foot.
It would be 1 inch at 10 yards, 2 inches at 20 yards.
1 foot at 100.
10 inches at 100, right? So I'd like to shoot a 4-inch group at 80 yards. Right now, I'm not doing that. I'm not shooting that good. I got to change some things on my bow. Like, for example, my peep with that new sight is too big, and so I'm having a really tough time aligning a smaller housing to a bigger peep. But long story short, I liked shooting toucans, which I believe is like 3 inches or 2.5 inches.
It's 3.
3, yeah. Remember? Yeah, you were there when we were shooting toucans at 80 yards regularly. Like, I think when I had my Halon or something, it was like 3 out of 5 arrows would be on the toucan on average, and then maybe the other 2 would be just barely off of it.
That's the difference. That's the difference, everybody. Hitting toucan, 3-inch target at 80 yards, more times than not, is what all these extra hours and all these days, day in and day out, get you at a bow range.
Right.
And you're not going to just do that right away.
Right. And I'm not saying that, oh, wow, blah, blah. No, guys can do that. It whacks my ass right now if I went to the range and they're doing what I was doing and I'm not doing it right now. I'm just saying that's what I expected of myself because I was going by that rule. If the bullseye is here, I'm shooting an 8-inch group, at
half MOA.
Yeah, I'm in the shoulder blade if I'm not doing that, right? Guys are like, okay, well, I don't agree with one arrow, and I get what guys are saying, with the effective range, shoot one arrow fresh, and that's your real life hunting situation because you're only going to get one shot and you're going to be cold. I get it, but that's stupid.
Well, here's the thing, your last podcast, it was about the technology and how far the bow will let you shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your bow will be lethal at 120, 130, 150 yards.
Right.
It would be technically lethal, but you would not be effective with it unless you put in a ton of work. And even, from kind of a casual shooter's perspective, 80 yards is way too far.
It's a long shot.
There's too many things that can go wrong. There's too much time it takes for the arrow to get there. The moment can change in a second. They can smell something they don't like, turn to leave, and your arrow's been traveling for a second and a half. It's not good. And the bow is lethal at those ranges, but the shooter's not without the practice.
Right.
It takes.
Well, that buck I shot this year, in all transparency, looking back at how bad I was shooting, and comparative to the other bows that I've had, I was shooting good, but I wasn't. If I was competing against myself with my synergy, I don't think if I was shooting that bad with my synergy, I would have took that shot. But I don't know. I still struggle with myself and with my own ethics and my own shot capability, because that arrow was pretty far off from the mark. I hit it I spined that deer. I don't know why. It's because I didn't bubble out good enough, and the range was far, but I didn't bubble out far enough, and I ranged it. It was slightly uphill, and I should have -2 yards for it. It's just stupid. I just got in a hurry and wanted to shoot.
Well, that's because there's an animal on the line.
Yeah.
If it were a target just sitting there,
I would have.
You would have with 100% guarantee. I could say you wouldn't have missed by as much.
No. I bet I would have been in the lungs, easily in the lungs.
Yeah.
That sounds cocky, I know, but I shoot enough to know what I'm capable of. I shouldn't. I can't say I shouldn't have, because he's hanging right there. He's dead, and he died, 50 yards from where I shot him, technically. But, I did have to put another one in him, which I'm not proud of. I think that's the first animal I had to do that. No, second animal I've ever had to put another arrow in to kill it.
Which is, good. Right. It's a good thing that's where you hit him, and that's what happened. But that there's just no guarantee. There's no guarantee the guy that put the most time and effort in doesn't
make a shittiest
doesn't
shot.
have something weird happen.
Well, you hear about the professional competitors that can't shoot a deer worth of shit because the nerves get to them, but yet they shoot under extreme pressure, but it's just not transferring over for them there.
No.
And so I like to shoot steel targets at 60. I like to shoot in front of people. I like to shoot on video. I like to shoot if I ever get a chance to live stream shoot, so people can see me. Like, if I can add pressure in a scenario to where if I screw up, people are going to see it, people are going to know, right? I like that added pressure. I like shooting novelty shoots because there's people watching. It adds pressure on it. My heart's beating a little bit faster. I'm worried about not looking like a freaking retard in front of everybody. Like, can Garrett really back up what he's saying he can shoot? And it's just, I just like putting myself in those higher pressure situations, because I feel like for me it does kind of transfer over. If I know, because on that buck, my adrenaline was up, my heartbeat was up. On that bull, I was on him too long. My heart was beating harder for that buck than it was the bull, right? I mean, because I was on that bull for 2.5 hours before I shot him, 2 hours at least. And I'm constantly trying to find ways to put myself under that pressure, and that's another difference between a casual shooter and somebody that shoots all the time and is trying to train. I will say this, though. It can't just be this or that. It has to be a spectrum, because I could train leg day every day of the year, squat, bench press, deadlift, run, hike, everything, and I'm still not going to outpack you, and I'm still sure as hell not going to fucking outpack Anthony. He's got like that retard strength in his legs. I do not understand it. But you and Anthony are hard to keep up with meat on your back. Extremely hard, and I train legs, and I pack, and I run. I remember you telling me when I was training or just going to the gym all the time, like 2 years ago or a year ago, you're like, dude, you're going to burn yourself out. What are you doing? Remember that? Yeah. Still going at it, but it's God, like I could train on my weak areas and still never be as strong as somebody in one of their strong areas that it's natural. So what areas would you, where I'm leading into this, what areas would you, from a casual perspective, want to be the best at going into season?
Probably the one thing that you can't really prepare for. I would like to know that I'm not gonna make a mistake because of nerves or adrenaline. And I would love to know that how I'm gonna handle. It's gotten better, and that's the only thing that makes it better is being in the situation over and over and over again.
Right.
You're gonna have to lose some bulls. You're gonna kill some. You're gonna lose some. Some weird stuff's gonna happen. You're gonna shank some shots. That stuff happens without any way to prepare for it. It never means as much as when it's happening. Mm-hmm. There's no way to replicate that when there's no training exercise that's gonna.
Right.
You're gonna know, unless you can be tricked into thinking you're killing the bull you're gonna kill, and somebody says, "Oh, this is just a test run. That's not a real bull."
That's not the real bull. That's a fake bull.
That's a mechanical bull.
Yeah. What you're talking about there is something that I struggled with for probably 6 or 8 years. And I think I would say I think I've overcome it. But on this mule deer this year, It got to me. Getting that shot off because you feel like you only have that much time to get the shot off.
Right.
Because if you take your time and make that controlled shot, that animal's not going to be there. And I failed. I can honestly, I failed this year with that mule deer for what I preach and what I talk about. And that's why I'm still talking about it. It pisses me off because I work to not do that shit. But when I started bow hunting and on this mule deer this year, I would draw back on an animal and I would try and get that shot off. As soon as that pin would be steady, I'd just boom, gun, done. There would be no more than 2 seconds of steady holding time on that thing. It'd be as soon as it's on there, done, like that quick.
Well, that doesn't not work. If you feel that shot, you feel
right.
like it's going to be effective, and you believe it,
right?
And that's kind of the reason you shoot. That's what else can you say? That's
right.
That's if you think that's all you have, that's all. None of that means anything. If you believe this is the shot, this is the shot, this is the one,
mm-hmm.
and it's I feel good enough about it, and you let it go. The problem is when people are letting stuff go because they're just taking a Hail Mary at something that, like, this is it.
Right.
If I don't do something, if I don't shoot, I'm definitely not going to hit it.
Right.
That's the kind of thing that you can't don't know how you're going to react when it's the time.
Well, I just feel like a lot of people are ruining these animals and I feel bad bringing them up as an example, but on the first born and raised Land of the Free, there was multiple bulls that were shot bad because that pin would get right on the vitals, and they would be swinging into they'd be moving the pin onto the vitals, and as soon as it got anywhere near those vitals, they'd punch it, right? And since then, they've worked on it, and they've gotten better, and you notice it didn't really happen this year on the Land of the Free. I don't think it happened once this year on the Land of the Free. That's what I'm talking about. Like, not when I draw back now versus when I started bow hunting, minus that freaking mule deer this year. I draw back, and I don't know if I'm going to shoot when I draw back. I tell myself, you're so screwed, you're dead. I believe that with all my heart, but I still haven't told myself for sure I'm going to shoot. If you're going into that knowing you're going to shoot, you're going to punch it. I'm sorry, you're going to rush it. I'm literally now analyzing the situation as it comes, minus the mule deer, making sure that I'm holding steady like that bull I lost last year. I think, long story short, I think it was 2-3 yards farther than what I thought. I didn't have time to range him. And I was on that bull for probably 8 seconds before I shot. And then that other bull, that first or second year, you and I went over Eastern Oregon, that big 5-point.
Yep.
Another one of the most proud shots I've ever had. Sailed it, and long story short, my D-loop was sliding around. Sailed it right over his back. But I held on that bull forever. And one of the biggest buck I've killed with my bow this year, I'm least proud of that. I don't want to say least proud of that buck. I'm least proud of that shot out of any shot I've ever made on an animal. It just bothers the shit out of me.
Yeah, well, that's the way that goes. Yeah. Nothing's going to slap that sour taste out of your mouth and make you never want to do it again.
Getting a good shot execution on another animal would.
Doing it. The only thing that's going to keep you from doing it is having done it in the first place.
Yeah.
And that happened to me, and it's not something somebody can coach you on.
Right.
That same 5-point you're talking about, when he came back around, and this is something that I can't believe I did, but he came back around.
I can't believe you didn't shoot him.
He didn't give me a shot, and I didn't take a shot.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing there, and this is like year 2 of doing this. This is like the first bull I've ever had.
He was what, 15 yards?
He was 23, I think.
23?
23, and I could have tried to shoot him in the spine. I could have tried to shoot him in the neck, and I was new at this whole thing.
It's just not worth it.
And I just, one thing you got to remember is that when they're coming in, there's no reason to think they're not going to keep coming in.
Right.
Or they're moving, and they're not running away. There's no reason to think they're not going to keep moving and give you a better shot. And if they give you a shot that you can make, and that's a determination you have to make on the spot,
mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of hindsight and a lot of retrospect on every situation. But when you know, and the next year, I did lose this bull, and I completely blame it on the broadheads. Magnus Stingers, by the way. I'll never buy them again. Fact.
God. I'm going to get somebody pissed off about that.
Anyway,
go on.
I on that bull, I settled right in, and I found, he was standing, his front shoulders were in line with a pretty good sized 12-inch
mm-hmm.
Ponderosa or something, and I knew I needed to miss that to sneak it right into his vitals where I wanted it. When I let that arrow go, I saw my nock and fletchings miss it by maybe 3/4 of an inch or an inch, and I just missed it, and I did exactly what I wanted, and the arrow disappeared right into his vitals, and oh my God, he wheeled around and took off, and I started. I threw everything down. I waited for you to show up, and I was
45 minutes later.
I was stoked. I was on cloud 9.
Yeah.
And we ended up finding my destroyed arrow. My basically looked like a field tip with all the metal had been broken off, but it was a pass through. We thought.
We think
on the right. It was on the opposite side of the entry wound.
Right. Anyway,
it was a bad scenario. But what I did on that shot, I was still proud of because I couldn't have just plunked it. You know, he was standing there broadside, and I could have easily gut shot him. I could have easily killed him and never found him. I mean, and maybe the way we tracked that bull, I don't think he died, but I still was proud of the shot. It's next year the same thing, and I hadn't forgotten what it's like to have a bull in your pen, right there in your little housing where you're in your pens, just floating around, shaking all over the place. And on the bull I did kill, I remember, and I almost shot. And I realized how out of control I was. And I stopped, and I leveled out, and I waited, and I just dropped my 30 pin. He was 28, and I didn't know that. That's another thing. How effective your range is going to depend on how well you know the range. So we'll double back to that.
Yeah.
But I knew, first a top pin is a top pin shot, and you always know that. That was 28. I shot him for 30. And I shot about 1.5 inches higher than I wanted, but that's it.
Yeah.
And I double lunged him, and he died in 20 yards.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a second attempt necessarily, but it caught myself, straightened out. What are you doing? You're not going to let another one get away. Do it this time. This time you're not gonna kick yourself in the ass for a whole entire year.
Right.
Take away variables. Take away mistakes. And what are you left with? Success. Like you're not going to have. You gotta delete them as they come up. It's like pop-ups.
That was the first bull you and I had ever killed together.
It was, and it was me to do it.
Yeah. What'd you feel like?
A casual shooter that doesn't practice every day.
Yeah. What'd that feel like after 4 years of failure? I can't say failure of not killing a bull.
Well, it was probably the highlight of my hunting life for sure. With the stigma, you hadn't yet killed a bull either, but it's like every time we ran into a bugling bull, you're like sending me after it. It was like get in position, get ready, get ready. It's like you were trying to get me a bull first. Yeah. I never forgot what that felt like. It's like, could I have done it without you? I probably wouldn't have done it without you. I probably would have found somebody else that was willing to go over there and chase him around with me. Hand feed me a bull that either one of us probably could have killed with a plan that we agreed on, like was the best thing to do. Either one of us would have killed the bull.
Oh yeah, walked right by you.
But you were gonna rake, and you told me go after him. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm going after him. Ideally, I'd like to kill a bull the same year, both of us.
Yeah.
And this last year we came close. We both shot one, but I mean, you killed yours, and mine, same sad situation. Shoulder shot.
Yeah.
No penetration. Lost it's about the same size bull.
Really?
Not monster. I don't need a monster. I don't need that at all. It's just so hard to do for me that I'm satisfied. Maybe a spike, I wouldn't be quite as happy with the spike. But a branch bull, if you put a branch bull down with a bow, it's not. Try it. If you think it's easy, try it. That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
It's not a gimme. It's not like deer, and I think deer is a gimme, especially when we're talking about rifle hunting, which is kind of what if I didn't say that before, rifle hunting is what I'm talking about. Bow hunting and deer is a lot of fun. And it's funner because it's harder.
Right.
And that's
no struggle, no story kind of thing, right?
No, it's all about pride. How proud are you that you got on one exit, traveled up the freeway, and got off the next one? Pretty easy, right? Pretty easy shit. Are you proud of that? I mean, everybody else did it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to bag on another because I still rifle hunt. I like it, but like Idaho last year, God, it was like you're a bow hunting. It was so you had to earn it every step. It was steep ass country. There's no road hunting. If you wanted to road hunt there, I think you could literally road hunt all season where we were at and not kill a buck because they're so pressured.
Yeah,
that's off the main drag. That's just not the same thing.
Area by area basis for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just, and maybe for somebody's first year or their first couple years of hunting, that would be like the highlight of their hunting thing. It's just that's just where we're at right now. Some guys, like, you picked up a trad bow. And that is like even making it more hard and more technical, but that's where you're at. You want to just get that feeling that I got it done with a freaking stick.
Well, this is where it kind of loses me for the all the time practicing and shooting bows.
Right?
It's like because I have an ability to be, with the amount of time. If I put the same amount of time in as you do, I would outshoot your ass all the time. I think you would agree to that.
I agree with that 100%.
But because I don't. And here's the reason I don't, because the improvements get so insignificant. Mm-hmm. They still exist, but they're insignificant. And I lose interest when improvement backs off. So it's like, I can pick up anything and learn it pretty quick and get decent at it. And it always has been that way. But to see it dive off like that, like you learn most of what you learn in a couple of days of shooting compound bows, and the rest, it's just downhill from there. It's like, how good do I need to be? Like, I can hit this bullseye every damn time, like at 30 yards, 40 yards. It's like a 1-inch black dot, stabbing it. It gets a little harder when you get out there. That's where the rest of that stuff comes in. But it's like, I'm lethal. I'm comfortable. My form's good. All that stuff. If you don't have any underlying problem, no real say a shoulder injury or something you're trying to work through, or some big thing holding you back. I just don't think you need to be. See, I love hunting. I don't like practicing as much. I like 3D shoots. Those are fun, entertaining. It's competition. I'm competitive
We're
as hell.
doing it this weekend.
But target shooting and practice is almost like labor, and I do enough damn labor during the week. I don't want to be out there laboring on the weekends. It's that for me. I don't think, like, when it comes to guns. When's the last time you or I at all, unless we're talking long guns, go out to the range and you're shooting 100-200 yards? It's a bullseye every damn time.
It's not even fun.
It's not. Why is that fun? Why is it fun to get on I-5 and then get off at the next exit? It's a guarantee. Yeah. It's not fun. Yeah. What's fun is a challenge. What's fun is competition.
Right.
And that's why 3D shoots to me are a lot more fun than
they're fun.
Practicing at the range. I need to practice at the range before season for a certain amount of time before I feel good enough to go out there and take shots at animals.
Right.
And also confidence going in. Confidence is key. If you're not stressing about that, about your capability and your skill level, you're in a lot better place. You're worried about finding a bull. Finding a bull becomes the next hardest thing because all that stuff's taken care of. You're all done practicing. You're confident in your skill. The hardest part of this whole thing is the situation. How do you make that situation better for you as a hunter? You've already got the skill part down. That's the next 80%, the biggest chunk, is getting an elk, providing yourself an optimal situation. And then we could talk about calling, but I'm not an expert on calling. Right. And that's where, also just sometimes it's like either way. It's like 50-50. We can try this or we can try this. We just don't know. It's like it's right down the middle. To the best of both of our knowledge, it's 50-50 crapshoot. Making those right decisions sometimes feel like the right one. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is. You just never know.
Well, with calling, my experience with calling, and especially with Mike, when I shot that nice big bull and hit him, I think low. I don't know. I was showing him how to bugle on the way in. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a bull bugling. It is exactly what we said was gonna happen. All right, I'm going to get a bull bugling, and then I'm going to bum rush that cocksucker, because what these things have been doing is that they'll bugle and then they're gone. Like, they'll bump out 200 yards, and they will never let you close that distance. And it was a really pressured area. And so I'm like, okay, they're answering, but they're not letting – they're just kind of like, hey, I'm here, but I don't want to mess around with anybody. So I'm like, I'm going to bum rush that cocksucker if he – I brought my running shoes. And I'm like, all you need to do is sound good enough. I don't even want you to sound good. Just make a sound that sounds like a bugle or like you're trying to bugle. Keep that bull bugling, because if he's answering you, he's going to probably be moving off, but as long as he can hear you, he's going to answer. And if you sound anything like a bugle that far away, he'll probably answer. Exactly what happened, right? You didn't have to be good. You just had to be good enough. And he could make a sound that sounded semi like a bugle. Granted, if I made him bugle on on here and here when he started, he'd be like, that's probably one of the worst bugles I ever heard. He's never going to kill anything. No, you have to be good enough. And I'd rather know what to say and when to say it rather than knowing exactly how to make that call. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to sound very good to kill a bull and call him in.
Yeah, that's not as big a part as the whole scope of things.
Right.
Sometimes it's like it kind of, there is a point where it's bad enough that it doesn't sound like a bugle at all, and they're not going to respond to it. There is a point, but I think anybody could pick up a bugle tube and a reed and get that sound after a couple, like a shooting thing. It could be good enough in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Especially when someone's like, not even close. Try again. Not even close. Try again. A little better.
You suck.
More like this,
Right.
Use more tongue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Giggity.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, the thing behind, I don't know if you've heard any of the episodes with Mike Batiste from the Elk Calling Academy. No, having just pay $30 to learn from a guy that's literally I would call an elk calling expert, not like one that is he's an expert. He competes in the world championships and stuff, but like the I know, God, my vocabulary sucks tonight. The understanding of what an elk call is saying at that time, what this bugle means versus that bugle.
Comprehension.
Comprehension. Paying $30 to get comprehension would be worth way more than sounding like a professional elk.
That's one way.
I believe that 100%.
Having been in the woods and heard a lot of bugles,
some of those bulls sound like horrible.
Doesn't it sound like shit?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think you and I have had arguments like, that's fucking 100. I'm not going after that. And you're like, dude, that's a bugle. We're going after it. And then that bull you killed, I wouldn't. I almost
like
passed it up.
A moo cow is what I thought it was.
I'm like, dude, there's no way that's a bull. And I'm like, well, we don't have anything else to go after right now.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. It's they're so half-assed half the time.
Yeah, he could have been laying down.
They don't seem to give a shit what they sound like.
No.
So and you can hear the same bull do it 3-4 different ways. You know, their bugles. Sometimes you can tell, that's the same bull, and then sometimes it's just half-assed bugles. And so why do you have to be perfect to fool them?
You don't.
If you really wanted to fool them, maybe you just be totally nonchalant and make it sound like a bugle, but relaxed.
Yeah.
Not perfect every time. Like, oh, that's a perfect bugle. How many perfect bugles have you ever heard in the woods?
A lot when a hunter's making them.
Yeah, no kidding. 9 times out of 10.
There's a lot of great elk buglers out there, but they're not calling an elk.
Yeah.
But so I guess what we'll start wrapping this thing up here. The spectrum of how good do you have to be, it's kind of funny that we're going over this because the name of the podcast is On Point. You need to, know your shit and be on top of your gear and be, the best that you can be. But for some people, that the best they can be is only a month before season when they have that little extra time they can scrape away from work and the kids and knowing what to work on with that limited time. God, that's on point for them.
Yeah, it's a huge probably number of people.
Most people.
Like, hobbies it's getting to be where you can have fewer and fewer hobbies because they're all getting more expensive.
Right.
And I think the demand for work is getting a little higher,
Yeah.
Things may be good right now, but that people are working a lot. It's vacation time is scarcity and it's rare, like I would say a percentage of people taking their vacation time to go hunting around here,
right?
Is probably pretty decent chunk of people.
Yeah.
At least for one thing or another. But if you want to dial that down to bow hunting, it gets pretty slim.
Yeah.
So you're trying to talk about a bunch of people
putting in for the same week
or taking what they can get when it comes to bow hunting.
Yeah.
Especially if they're just thinking about getting into it, they're not taking weeks off work to go do it.
Yeah.
But weekends, whatever day off you have, spend a little bit of time at the range. Make sure it's pretty close to season. You don't want to be doing it in January and then not do it for 7 months, 8 months. And
right.
But get your fundamentals down. It's not too late right now, March 21st, to never have touched a bow and go kill an elk in September.
Easily.
It's not even
easily.
A couple weekends here and there, a little more closer to season.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it's not even a stretch at all to say that.
Right.
Especially if you go with somebody that knows, an area where elk hang out, that's the biggest part of it too, is where you choose to hunt. You're not going to just do it anywhere. You go somewhere where elk are, and you might have a stab at it. And if nothing else, you might have an opportunity. And then those opportunities are almost as fun as killing them. It's like having a bull in range that never gives you a shot, but bugled.
To me, that's a success.
Oh man, it's another level.
Yeah.
It's like you don't get this extreme shot of adrenaline and this big rush when you shoot and kill a bull. You just keep it from the moment he got close to you. You ride it out for longer. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, of course it's great, and it does take a step up, but you're already there, and he comes anywhere near you, and he's bugling, and he's getting closer. You're getting closer to him, or you're even seeing elk. It gets you there. It's all fun.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a successful hunt to be a successful hunt.
No, I agree. It's not all about killing. It's like a famous Fred Bear quote. A hunt solely based on killing of an animal or whatever falls short of what a hunt is truly about, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing like shit here, but that's basically what it is. Or a hunt solely based on killing an animal falls short of what hunting is. And for the guys that have the limited time, I guess in my summary would be become effective and efficient and confident and competent with your bow, whether that takes you 500 shots, 200 shots, whatever it may be. Prove to yourself with broadheads. I would have broadheads down a month before season. Know that you're shooting good groups with broadheads. And then make sure that you are competent and you've shot in the scenarios where what you're going to wear, right? What my big thing is getting rid of the errors that occur during season, before season. Like, get rid of those errors. Oh, I hit my sleeve. Dude, you should have known you're going to hit your sleeve before that even got out there. That's my opinion. You should know that your bino harness got in the way of your string before you got out there.
You should see how you shoot after maybe walking 4 or 5 miles.
Know how you're shooting after you're out of breath, or know how you're shooting after a minute of holding your bow back. Like, these are things that I want to be good and efficient at before I get out there. Also, maybe hike around with your pack on. When you go shoot your bow, hike around with 50 pounds in your pack for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You're going to be sore if you haven't done it, right? Get rid of that soreness before season, because nothing sucks when you wake up out of your tent and you're sore as shit. Your feet hurt, your back hurts, your hams hurt, your quads hurt. That sucks. And then walking around with somebody that's in shape, that freaking sucks, So for me, it would really honestly be being able to put that arrow where it needs to go, being a broadhead tipped arrow where it needs to go. And then also having like you said, the physical capabilities of being able to get an elk out 2 miles in. If you can't get an elk out and you shot it and it's going to waste, what's the point?
Well, I don't know. I think anybody can carry 15 pounds 20 times. Or
2 miles. I mean, what if you're 2 miles in and you carry a quarter out a time? That's probably, I don't know, 80 pounds.
Take 2-3 days. Take what depending on the weather.
If it can last that long out there.
I just don't see. It doesn't even occur to me that an elk could spoil that because a first-time hunter killed him in such a bad spot. It doesn't even occur to me that that's a possibility, because, man, if it's your first time ever chasing elk and you end up 6-7 miles from the truck and it's all uphill one way or the other, and oh man, what do we do now? Well, you just go until it's done.
Yeah. Where Anthony, like the spot, how hot and warm it was when Anthony killed Shelby killed her bull.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take very long for that bull to spoil.
No, it probably would have been not that good by the end of that day, because it was early enough.
Probably would have been done by the end of the next morning.
So if we could say anything about that, if you're not in peak physical shape, or at least decent physical shape, don't hunt more than 2 miles from the truck. Don't make sure it's not too. Yeah. If you got there and it kicked your ass to get there, maybe don't kill a bull.
Or have a spot to stash it, like a creek or something. Right. Do something. But so if you've got limited time, man, I mean, identify your weak areas or the points that you need to be good at, and work your craft as much as you can. Maybe on point for you is, You got 1 month between here, a cumulative 1 month, so 30 days that you can commit to hunting now to hunting season. Get those best 30 days you can. Make that your on-point version. It doesn't have to be going to the gym 3-5 times a week. It doesn't have to be shooting 1,000 arrows a week. It doesn't have to be doing all this shit. It doesn't have to. And I don't ever want to be the guy that, demotivates somebody because, like I said, that having a $2,400 bow, lugging that thing around, and then a lot of new guys are looking at, potentially looking at me on YouTube saying, I can't afford to get into bow hunting. Well, now they can't say that anymore, right?
Budget bow challenge, yeah.
Yeah, and now I don't want people saying, well, I can't shoot, thousands of arrows before a season, and I can't tune my bow, and I can't do all that stuff. First of all, yeah, you can learn. It's really easy. But second of all, that's my journey. That's how committed I want to be. You don't have to be doing that same shit, and you can go out and have success too, right?
Right.
I'm not better than you. I have more time. I'm more into it. Maybe I make it a priority more than you do.
That's the line. So, yeah, it would be cool to kill a bull, and oh man, I really want to kill a bull so bad. Those are that's the difference. If you think it'd be really cool to grab a bow and go elk hunting, that'd be cool.
Right.
That'd be fun. That's not gonna probably. You're
Well,
not gonna give it what it needs.
Remember Dustin Parker when we took him over to Eastern Oregon? He missed 6 deer in 3 days. That is what we don't want, right?
Yeah.
The first time he shot the bow was the day before.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's not right. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, we were teenagers, and it was a little.
We were stupid.
It was a different time.
Yeah.
And we couldn't hunt, so we talked somebody that could. And
yeah,
we couldn't hunt because we were rifle hunting, and it was bow season, not
because we lost our rights or anything. No. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, I realized it sounded a little weird.
Yeah, we couldn't go, so we took somebody that could.
No, we were scouting for our rifle hunt, and we brought a guy that we talked into picking up a bow tag last minute. Took him to the range for a day. Shot pretty decent at the range.
He shot good.
And
good. I would say he shot legitimately good.
And this is our experience in amateur preparation.
Right. I did all the tuning, everything. Right.
Bo was good for him, good for his height. He had, he was all pretty decent. Animal situation went to total shit.
Well, and when you see him with a gun too, and Dustin Parker, I know who you and I know each other. Okay, I know you. You fall apart. You do. I love you. You fall apart. He did that with a bow. Okay. It's not the bow's fault.
No.
But I think even if he did train all year, that's probably still would
and that's what I mean is like the one thing that's the most important is how you're going to handle a situation.
Right.
The situation when it comes up to kill a bull or an animal, period, it needs to be. You need to expect that you're going to fall apart and do your best to pick up the pieces and calm yourself down. And okay, I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to be shaking. Deep breath, because they don't give you 2 shots. I've seen that on Born and Raised. I've seen some videos and things where I missed and then I shot him. That I don't ever expect that. I expect
lucky.
1 shot.
Yeah.
If you miss, they're gone. If you hit them, they're dead.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the reality of it. If you've talk them into coming in that close against their better judgment, but a time of year where they really just can't say no.
That's on you.
And they're curious and they're sneaking in, which is every time I've ever seen it. They don't just waltz in with the confidence what's going on over here. It's this is interesting. I'm listening. What's happening?
Yeah.
And you scare them with a arrow flying by their head and hitting a branch or whatever. They're fucking gone. They're staying gone. And, sometimes they're a little heated up. And they'll bugle at you again. And
cursing at you on the way out.
It's just but make it count.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to get another chance.
For sure.
And as far as making things harder and, getting more reward out of it and all that stuff, the challenge I want to add to it would be I want to do more like a backpack. And
that would be fun.
I want to go and stay gone for maybe 3 days at a time. Maybe do that 3 times.
That'd be cool.
You
and I have the gear for it, minus the shelter. That's really all we don't have.
It's a couple tents, little cheap tents. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Something light.
I was going to talk to Jimmy Dean and get something from him. He makes those really cool shelters. You'll see him if you go to the Hoodoo this year. Shout out to Jimmy Dean. That guy's a badass. I love that guy. He makes some really cool shelters, and his name's Jimmy Dean. You got to be pretty cool if your name's Jimmy Dean, man.
Yeah, like the sausage.
Yeah. But all right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Appreciate you coming on the show, stranger.
Yeah, I'll try to make it more of a habit.
Yeah.
I just don't have a lot of input. I am the casual shooter, and my knowledge extends to about as far as my experience is. And in that, we could talk about rifle hunting. We could talk about bow hunting. I'm always going to be more of a bow hunter now, and that's the thing. And if anyone's on the fence,
bow hunt.
You try it. If you like hunting, you give this a shot. You're probably never going back. That's the way it was for me. I'm never turning back to it, because it depends on the type of person. I cannot blanket statement this whole thing, but if you are chasing that dragon, that glory, that pride, that self-fulfillment of achieving something that's not easy to do, and you go out there and you do it with a bow, you're done. You're hooked. You can just settle in. You might as well just subscribe to Garrett's Patreon.
It's a skeptic. Oh, did I tell you what Kim told me about that?
No.
Basically, shut up about Patreon. She's like, you mentioned it like 5 times in 2 episodes.
People got to know, hey, subscribe to Garrett's Patreon.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Patreon or patreon.com//On Point Podcast.
Yeah. This guy believes this shit. He's not just spewing it.
I believe it.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He's legit.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, man. But, all right, guys. Well, we will see you on the next one. Bye. All right, everybody. So what'd you think? Hopefully we didn't burn it, step on anybody's toes here. I had a great time with Mitch. Appreciate him coming on the show. He's always fun. And, really interesting perspective. I'll reiterate it. Being on point for a guy working 60 hours a week with 3 kids is not the same thing as being on point and being without kids and being able to commit way more time to practicing and working out. It's just 2 different things. And being able to know what your level of being on point is important to know, and also what areas to focus on if you do have a limited amount of time. And just really curious to hear how many arrows do you shoot before a season, from January 1st to the beginning of your season. How much time do you spend working out? What's your situation? How many kids you got? Let me know. I am dying to hear what the average person does before season, and really look forward to hearing you guys' feedback on this one. So, as always, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.